it becomes important to take the consideration of the investors as well, like what sort of risk they are exposed to. But I think that this particular exercise was meant to determine like what sort of things we can do as students. So we thought that it is our fiduciary responsibility. College was given us no restrictions that whether we are to take maximum risk or moderate risk or lower risk. So it was from their side that we can do anything. So it was our philosophy basically.
Because in your first slide, I think you said that you
Yes, sir,
wanted protection because college wants
We
protection.
agree to that because it was our philosophy. It was not given by college to us.
Just one quick, uh, very small technical question. You showed a slide on Jensen's alpha and trainer measure. So the alpha, Jensen's alpha calculated using CAPM returns?
So actually we take data, that is all the market-based factors like SMB, HML, WML, we take it from a website of Professor Jayant Verma from IM. So currently he has the data till January for all the SMB, HML and WML factors. So for January when we calculated separately our portfolio, so that alpha was based on Carhart 4-factor models, and but the overall returns, because it included February also, so that was based on the CAPM, the Jensen's alpha using CAPM.
Okay, so what was in the slide was not calculated using CAPM.
So that is using CAPM. The Carhart 4-factor model we have not shown because that we have tabulated only till the end of January.
Okay, because what I was finding interesting there was Fenelux cable had the highest Jensen's alpha, but its trainer measure was pretty small, I mean, compared to others. It looked a little contradicting.
The information ratio has the residual.
No,
risk.
not information ratio, trainer ratio.
ratio.
Maybe because that the
Beta.
data inefficiency, like she has already mentioned, that for Carhart 4-factor model, we are not having a significant amount of data with us for Feb. So we were not able to calculate that, but for the other factor, we were like able to calculate it. That's fine.
Okay.
Sir, there was, means we didn't calculate churn ratio as such, when we are going to do churning, but what we did was that, again, as our risk mitigation strategy, whenever we booked profits and moved out of the stocks, we looked at the other stocks and thought to invest in those stocks depending on the analysis that we have already done.
You have a week-wise churn Excel or something like that?
No, sir, sorry, we don't have it right now.
What is the total brokerage that you paid in these 2 months?
Sir, total brokerage was around 1500 to 1600 rupees.
So in line with the rest.
One overall question, your philosophy seems to be wealth preservation and conservative risk approach, but your stock seems to be quite high risk mid caps like Thomas
Sir, again,
Coke.
as I have already told, the philosophy is all about what we think, and the stock selection was done by taking number of filters into consideration. So initially what we did, we took historical data, then we also took sector specific filters. So after doing a lot of this, then we came down to stocks. Maybe she would like to.
So also our portfolio beta is 1.06 only. So we did not, our beta did not exceed like the likes of 1.5 or 1.6, which is considered to be high. And we say that for the risk that for the portfolio beta that we have attained, that is 1.06, our returns were way above the risk that we took. That is, that can be shown through the ratios that we calculated for the portfolio, especially the trainer ratio.
So what was standard deviation of your portfolio and Nifty or a benchmark index? You have it?
So we, for the benchmark, that is done in sorting.
Sir, what we have done is as residual risk, that is when we talk about information ratio, that is Jensen's alpha upon residual risk. For calculating residual risk, we have standard deviation of the portfolio as well as standard deviation of the benchmark, but the numbers are right now not present with us. If you want, we can give it offline.
No problem. So can you go to the portfolio slide?
Sorry, sir?
Slide of portfolio. Stocks. I think Clarion, Finolex, Thomas Cook, all are mid-cap guys, yeah. So to some extent, I don't know, how does it go with your wealth preservation story, as he rightly mentioned? Maybe Kaveri also. So these are the 4 stocks. Out of 4, 8, 12, 15 stocks, 5 stocks, 1/3 of the portfolio is mid-cap.
Sir, what we want to say is that according to us, risk is not about to which cap, like it's small cap or mid cap or large cap. Basically, in terms of liquidity, we picked up the stocks that were quite liquid. Apart from that, the risk that was factored in because of the price movements was also captured by the various quant measures that we take into consideration while selecting the stocks. Therefore, we don't think that, and especially the beta of the portfolio, when we calculated it was comparatively low. So
Okay, so what do you mean by liquidity? So how much total market cap gets traded on a monthly basis
So
of, let's say, Kaveri Seeds? And as a fund manager, you were to invest, let's say, 3, 4, 5%. So do you think that liquidity justifies? So I'm just asking. So at least tell me one company's market cap and monthly market cap getting traded on a stock exchange. Any one company.
67,000 So it is 67,000 crores for Amara Raja.
That's market cap or traded market cap, monthly average
So that
month?
is the entire
Total.
market cap. So one thing that I would like to add here is that we believe that the risk is not only factored in the in the beta or the volatility of the stock. It is divided across factors, like we have the book to market value, we have the size factor, the volatility factor. So based on that, also we checked out for Clariant, we checked out the beta, which was only 0.56. So just because it is a mid cap stock, that is one part of the risk that is there, but the entire 0.56 captures the other risk factors also. So we do not believe that we have chosen very highly risky stocks, as our portfolio beta is also around 1, not too higher than 1.
So what is your portfolio beta excluding that? For that 70% portfolio will be how much portfolio beta approximately? Because when you're saying 30% is really 1, right? 30% will be 1. So balance 70% is actually
Portfolio beta would be higher.
It will be around 1.5. Like, I'm giving a rough estimate. I haven't calculated it, but it will be somewhere in the range 1.5 to 1.6.
Thank you.
Not able to digest this fact. 30% of your portfolio gave away to some other manager. I mean,
sir,
and
actually,
how much cost did that incur? You get my point, because that fund, though it's a ETF, low cost, but still it cost you some money, right?
sir,
It's a
you know,
double fee.
when we started this course was all about learning new things, right? So in quantitative management, there is a subject which was taught to us by Vishwanath Iyer sir, and he, taught us this philosophy, taught us this strategy, wherein there is a core, there is a satellite. So what we thought that maybe not 2-3 years down the line we would be able to implement it as a part of some big fund, but right now when we are getting an opportunity to do it, why not to do it? So that was one of the reasons that why
That's fine, but
did
please
it.
don't have it in mind that no big fund will allocate 30% to another
No,
fund
I'm
manager.
not saying like that. Means I am not.
Fine. Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much.
So just last.
Just a last thing that I would like to say, but what we did while choosing Nifty Bees is that we actually found out the tracking error of Nifty Bees and other. Yeah.
You mentioned that apart from mid cap or large cap, many other factors were considered to define a riskiness. So was management, quality of management team and governance standard at the company, it's not was considered, and if considered, why not there on the presentation?
Sir, we considered the quality. We considered the quality of management and the corporate governance that is present in these companies. Like for example, in Kaveri Seeds, what has happened recently in the last year was that promoter was saying that I want to sell 6% of my stake and raise 1500 crores for his food processing plant, which for institutional investors were adamant that they don't want it. So these were quite issues that we looked into, and then we realized that right now, as if Kaveri Seeds, Mr. G.V. Bhaskar Rao has said that there is no such scheme and we are dropping it right now. So what we see means we have calculated everything and taken into consideration all sorts of aspects.
So also, like, it's not that we have only taken the ratios and the industry ratios and we have tried to find out that which stock we are going to pick. We have gone through the annual reports of all the companies. Why we chose Amara Raja was because it has a collaboration with Johnson Controls, which is the world's leader in automotive batteries. So all these factors.
Those are business. Got you. I was more on the quality of management and governance standard. Anyway.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot for patiently hearing to us. Thank you.
Yeah, so last but sure not the least, we have Team Greenback Bogey. Very interesting name, guys. And the fund manager for the team is Aseem Madan, and the presenter for the team is Preeti Nisha Gupta. Please welcome them with a round of applause.
A very good morning, one and all present here, that is respected judges, faculty, and my dear friends. Before we begin our presentation, we would like to extend our gratitude to Professor Madhuvira Raghavan, to Professor R.C. Natarajan, and to Professor Vishwanath Iyer for giving us an opportunity to actually invest and do this and carry out this course. I would like now, going forward, I would like to introduce my team. We are Team Greenback Boogie, and our team members are Asim Madan is the fund manager, Ankit Agarwal, Devmalia Paul, Mr. Vivek Jaiswal, and myself, Ms. Preeti Nisha Gupta. Now moving forward, the agenda of our presentation is as follows. We will be presenting our investment philosophy, followed by our risk management strategy, followed by what stock selection criteria we have chosen, the sectors that we have actually invested in, the weekly performance, and finally the portfolio performance. Now moving to our investment philosophy, what did we actually believe in? We strongly believe that value can be created by active fundamental and quantitative management supported by in-depth and bottom-up research and analysis. Having said that, we set our objective to outperform the CNX 500 using a disciplined approach. Now, CNX 500 was chosen in particular because it represents 96.42% of the free float market capitalization of the universe of the NSE stocks. So that is why we chose CNX 500. And having said that, because risk is such an important criteria for portfolio performance, the risk of our team was determined to be moderate, and this was done using a Finametrics risk profiling tool. So moving ahead, having spoken about risk, how did we actually manage our risk and mitigate the risk that we had? So the target price and the stop loss was set using Bloomberg research and team consensus based on macroeconomic outlook as well as sector outlook. So this is how we set our target price. Constant portfolio rebalancing was done. Once the stock had reached its particular target price, we sold off those stocks and then we invested in new stocks. And finally, we also followed the strategy of phase-wise exit. That is, we did not liquidate our portfolio at one shot, but then this was done over a period of 3 to 4 days so that we could mitigate any exceptional risk. Moving ahead, the risk management model that we came up with had 4 components. The first component was asset allocation. When we carried out our asset allocation, we ensured that we had, and we gave a lot of emphasis to sector diversification. That is, we ensured that we had sector diversification across sectors such as infrastructure, pharma, IT, banking, energy, and energy. Next, when new asset allocation was carried out, these new stocks were selected out of the stocks that had high information ratio. So that is how we selected our new stocks. Then review the ongoing risk. That is, any major changes in the macroeconomic factors were factored into our portfolio, and accordingly changes were made in the portfolio. And the risk assessment. Risk assessment was carried out. That is when we measured our team's risk profile as well as how we continuously monitored our return against the benchmark returns. Having said that, having spoken about the philosophy and the risk management techniques, here I would present to you how we actually boil on to the stocks. That is, how did we arrive at the stocks. The initial screening, it was carried out in 4 steps. So the steps are as follows. The first step is that we were given a universe of stocks. That is, the rule book of the SMIC course said that we could choose from NSE and BSE 500 stocks. So that gave us 581 stocks. The next filter that we applied was there was a limit on the market cap. So we chose those companies that had a market cap of more than 300 million. So we arrived at 578 stocks. Next, the next filter that we applied was that they should have been positive trailing 12-month net income, with which we arrived at 500 stocks. And finally, we applied a filter of positive trailing cash flow, 12-month cash flow, with which we arrived at 282 stocks. So this was the first step that we took for screening. The second step was these 282 stocks were sorted in an ascending order based on the information ratio. Now, information ratio is Jensen's alpha divided by the residual risk, and the top 100 stocks were chosen. So this was our second step. The third step was that each of these 100 companies were divided among the team members, and they were analyzed with the help of Bloomberg. So we took these 100 companies, divided them amongst ourselves, and those companies were taken that had an analyst coverage of a minimum that is covered by at least 10 analysts and at least a buy recommendation of 70%. So that is how we narrowed down on the companies. And finally, we arrived at 10 companies which were fundamentally very strong. And we ensured that of these companies, not more than 2 companies belong to a particular sector. As mentioned before, we wanted to maintain sector diversification. Having said that, the last step is these 10 companies were fit into the Sharpe's weight allocation technique, and we selected 7 companies that had a weightage of more than 5% as per the Sharpe's weight allocation technique. So that is how we actually arrived at the initial investment that we made. Now, speaking about the sectors that we have actually invested in detail. The first sector that we invested in is pharmaceuticals. So why pharmaceuticals? Because the pharmaceutical sector is expected to have a growth of 10% CAGR as per an IBEF report. The second strong reason for investing in the pharma sector is that the government has increased its expenditure to 2.5% of the GDP in healthcare, which is going to be a major boon to the pharmaceutical sector. And the third important reason that we considered to invest in the pharmaceutical sector was that generics, the demand for generics is growing, and most of these medicines don't require patents. So that is why we thought that we should be investing in pharmaceutical sector. The next sector that we'll be talking about is the automobile sector. And the automobile sector is making a comeback after the rise in the economy and after the economic improvement. Also, the fuel prices have become stable, so we think that the automobile sector is going to improve. The next sector and an important chunk of our portfolio is the IT sector. The IT sector has also revived after the increase in offshore demands from US and the Europe. Also, in the last 5 years, the growth of high-value clients has been 13.5%, which we feel is a very big boost to the IT industry. Moving forward, the infrastructure, which has also been a very important part of our portfolio. Government initiatives like that of Make in India, as well as Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, and initiatives like urban smart cities are initiatives that would help the infrastructure sector and the companies. The next sector is banking. Now, banking sector, the credit growth is expected to pick up with the pickup in the economy. Also, monetary measures such as RBI rate cut will lead to an increase in the credit volume. Having said that, the last sector that we would like to discuss about is oil and energy. So the slowdown in the shale investment by the US would eventually lead to the increase in oil prices. Hence, we think that these companies like that of Kane India are going to revive and do well. So that was about the sectors. These are the ultimate losses and gains that we made in each of the stocks. That of Tata Motors gave us the maximum loss, and we were able to make maximum profit with Lupin and Tech Mahindra over the span of 2 months. Now, the weekly performance. In this, we have covered the sector allocation, the weekly returns, the decisions that we took as a team, and our opinions, and the portfolio versus the benchmark performance. So the first graph shows, the pie chart shows how the sector allocation was obtained from the Sharpe's allocation method. And then the second graph shows the week-on-week performance of the portfolio. The table shows the stocks that we had invested in and the buy or decisions that we took. And finally, how our portfolio had performed against the benchmark. The 7 companies that we initially invested in are DCB Bank, Finolex Cable, Kajaria Ceramics, Kaveri Seeds, Lupin, Tech Mahindra, and VA Tech Vabag. We believe that these companies are fundamentally very strong and they would give us high returns. Having said that, moving on to week 2, we did not make any substantial change or portfolio churning in week 2, as none of the target prices or stop loss was breached. Now, in week 3, we brought about the first churning of our portfolio. We sold off DCB Bank, and we sold off Kajaria Ceramics. DCB Bank was sold because in the same week, the RBI had introduced a rate cut, and all the other banks had increased. But the share price of DCB Bank had not increased because on the same day they had issued ESOPs for the employees. Hence, we were not able to capitalize on the gains from DCB Bank. We sold off DCB Bank. And Kajaria Ceramics was sold at a profit because it had reached its target price. Hence, we sold off Kajaria Ceramics. Since we wanted to maintain our exposure in Yes Bank, we wanted to maintain our exposure in the banking sector, we invested in Yes Bank. Yes Bank was chosen after we shortlisted 3 banks, that is Axis Bank, ICICI and Yes Bank. But ICICI and Axis Bank have reached their maximum limit on the FII investment. So hence we decided that we would go for Yes Bank because it still had a potential. Now, moving forward, in week 4, we did not make any portfolio change. Week 5, we saw a lot of activity where we sold off 3 stocks and bought 2 new stocks. We sold off Lupin and Tech Mahindra at stellar profits. These are the companies that gave us maximum returns. And we sold off Kaveri Seeds and in the same week because its quarter results had come out and they had not performed well. The net profit was down by 1.9% and their sales had dropped by 31.6%. Having said that, we also invested in a new sector, that is we made investment in the auto sector. We bought Amara Raja batteries and we bought Tata Motors. Now Amara Raja batteries, because it had given exceptional quarter results and quarter on quarter it had performed exceptionally well, we feel that it would soon take over its core competitor, that is Exide batteries. Having said that, Tata Motors was bought for 2 main reasons. That is, they introduced the Bolt car in January end, and also that JLR has been expanding exponentially in terms of production and capacity, and in terms of geography. So they have also increased their product portfolio, hence we thought that Tata Motors would do an exceptionally good job. In week 6, since we had extra liquid money, what we did was we bought 3 new stocks. We bought TCS. The rationale for investing in TCS is that we had to maintain our sector diversification and we had to invest in IT sector. And TCS is a market leader in IT, and the management of TCS itself claimed that they would outperform the NASSCOM growth projection for the IT sector of more than 13%. So that is why we bought TCS. We bought Alembic Pharma because it's a growth company and it has grown through a lot of acquisitions. The market had already factored in the drop in their quarter results, and we thought that the stock price will go nowhere but up from here. And the company that we also purchased was Axis Bank, as we wanted to increase our exposure to the banking sector just before the budget would be announced. So we bought Axis Bank. Moving forward, in the week 7, the penultimate week, we sold off TCS because it had attained its target price. And we also sold